Just imagine, for example, that you have bad credit, okay, and you have a startup and you need funding. So you basically need to have a startup business loan where you have bad credit. So how do you actually reconcile this whole equation here? In today's conversation, this is the steps I want you to follow right now if you want to solve this equation once and for all. So the first thing I want you to think about, if you're trying to get a startup business loan with bad credit, you need to evaluate what kind of loan you need. Boss, the whole thing is when you have a startup and you are looking for business funding, you don't have only one type of loan. You don't have like a installment like term loans. No, you do have a constellation of loans. So you have like, are you interested in having online term loans? Do you want to have a term loan from your bank or credit union? Do you want to have equipment financing? Do you want to have invoice factoring? Do you want to have invoice accounts receivable financing? So when we talk about invoice financing, we talk about equipment financing. We're talking about invoice factoring. We are having a conversation about the larger asset-based financing. So the thing is, when you think about asset-based financing, your credit, your personal credit, doesn't matter anymore, because this type of loans are, by essence, by definition, collateralized, which means what? The risk is reduced to the lender, because something happens. If you're not able to repay the loan, the lender will just come and repo the asset, the underlying asset. So the risk there is just limited. Okay. So are you looking for a startup business line of credit? Are you looking for, let's say, a startup merchant cash advance? So see, the thing, what I want you to really, I want to familiarize you with the typology when we talk about business loans. It's not just one type of loan. A lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of startup founders, they think, I want to have a startup business loan, and they're thinking automatically installment loan. No, but you do have a constellation. You have a diversity of startup business loans. Okay, for example, merchant cash advances are also a lot easier to get, because if you have electronic sales, let's say you are a startup but you do a lot of sales online, or people use credit cards and debit cards, you're able to get a merchant cash advance. Okay, so see, there are options. There is hope. Simply because you have bad credit does not preclude you from getting the startup business funding you need and deserve. The second thing I want you to do here is to check your business and personal credit scores. Okay, this is so important. By the way, welcome back to the show. It's really a pleasure to have you here. So we're having a short convo about how to get a startup business loan with bad credit. See, when I'm talking about your personal credit score, your personal and business credit scores, obviously, if you're a startup, you probably don't have a business credit score yet. However, if your startup has been, let's say, in existence for less than 9 months or 6 months or 10 months for that matter, you may have a paydesk score, even though you don't know about it. You may have an Equifax business credit score. You may have an Experian business credit score. But because when we talk about startup, the technical definition is a business that is less than 1 year old. So if your business is 10 months old, you still qualify as a startup. Okay. So what I'm trying to say here is what I'm trying to tell you, that when we talk about bad credit, don't think necessarily that your business credit score is also bad. You probably have, you might have good credit on the business side and bad credit on the personal side. So the thing is, it's all about information. You want to acquire the information. You want to contact the business credit bureaus, and you want to contact the personal credit bureaus also. On the business side, you want to contact Dun and Bradstreet. You want to contact Experian Business. You want to contact Equifax Business. On the personal side of things, you want to contact TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. Why am I saying this? Because you want to make sure that you indeed have bad credit. People are telling you have bad credit. When was the last time you checked your credit score? Talk to me, boss. Talk to me. When was the last time you checked your credit score? You just walk around telling people, yeah, I have bad credit. I have bad credit. I have bad credit. But are you sure you have bad credit, or you probably have fair credit? Because the last time you checked was probably like, maybe 1 year ago, or 5 years ago for that matter. And you had like 550 back then. But do you know that now you might be around 650 or 700? So it's important to acquire the information. You want to go back to the source. Do it for your personal credit and your business credit. At least you can ascertain whether or not you have bad credit. Okay, very important. Information is power. The third thing I want you to do right now is to gather and prepare required documents. By the way, I just want to quickly remind you, today's topic, we're having a convo about how to get a startup business loan with bad credit, no collateral. Okay, no collateral, really important. See, when we talk about gathering and preparing required documents, you need to understand those requirements are actually differ. They actually vary from one lender to another. Okay, so basically, when we talk about a startup business loan for bad credit, no collateral, usually this is a big usually. You don't talk to banks or credit unions. They're not interested in you because they want to cover their asses. You know, those banks and the credit unions are by definition and for all intents and purposes risk averse. They're scared. They're scared as shh. They are scared as shh. So basically, you have to be in a position where you start talking to the right lender. You got to talk to alternative lenders. You got to talk to online lenders, okay? And even better, you can talk to loan marketplaces. You have a loan marketplace such as National Business Capital or Lendio. So those are great places where you have access to a constellation of lenders, of business lenders, and they can help you choose the best business loan, the best startup business loan for your operation, even with bad credit and no collateral. You also have a player such as Toro Capital, which we love a lot. Toro has a great startup business loan, even with bad credit for new businesses. It's just fantastic. So when we talk about gathering and preparing required documents, I want to come back to what we call the trifecta. You need to have your financial records. So if you're a startup and you don't have actual data yet, you can have your financial projections. Okay, that's the first part, the first leg of this trifecta. The second leg is you need to have your business plan. Okay, please make sure. Don't you tell me you can't have a business plan. You can have a business plan. I don't care if you have no knack for writing business literature. You can just outsource the whole thing, or just have like subscribe to software that charges you like 10 or 20 or $15 a month. This is kind of interesting. And the third leg of this part is to have your personal tax returns. Okay, if your business hasn't filed tax returns yet, that's fine. Then your tax returns are important. The lender wants to see those too. The fourth thing I want you to do here is I want you to research and compare lenders. Okay, so boss, let me just break it down for you. You're sitting there, you want to have a startup business loan for bad credit, no collateral. You're asking yourself, how do I do this? Now, you and I've already established the fact that you're not talking to banks. You can't talk to banks in this journey. They're not going to listen to you. They want to cover their asses. You can't do that. You can't talk to credit unions. They are following banks like crazy. So that means you have to research and compare alternative lenders and online lenders. Okay, and this is why what you want to do is you want to start by actually going to websites. By the way, if you let us know the industry you're in, we'll certainly send you a list of lenders that may be appealing, that may find your business model appealing. Okay, not a problem at all. Now, one thing I want to say here is that you want to pre-qualify for the loan. Don't you apply right away. You want to zero in on lenders who will accept your pre-qualification. That's your pre-qualification request. So in other words, you go to a website, you enter your information, no hard pull, soft pull only, so you can see whether or not you're qualified for any products and for what products you may qualify for if you do. Okay, so this is really important. You want to put yourself in a situation where you know that if you are ever approved, you will get a good deal. And when we talk about you comparing lenders, I want you to pay attention to APR. So annual percentage rates. This is really important. And if we were talking about a startup business loan for bad credit, no collateral, APR starts around 9%, 15%. Sometimes like from 9 to 15%. That's a good start. Okay, and the delta is not really that high. That the variance here is not really high. And so the APRs is important. You want to think about fees and other costs, right? Because you never know, like things like origination fees. Okay, you might have some admin fees. Okay, some lenders will charge you for prepayment penalties. Okay, and so again, the point I'm trying to make here is that you want to have a clear idea about the litany of fees that you need to cope with, and also think about the lender reputation. Because the last thing you want is to have a lender who has a bad reputation. So think about that before actually getting a loan for your startup with bad credit. Next thing I want you to do here is to submit your application. This is so important. By the way, I want to quickly remind you again of today's conversation. What are we talking about? We're talking about how to get a startup business loan for bad credit and no collateral. Okay, and how do you actually do these things? It's really important to understand that once you actually find a lender who is whose practices or offer appeal to you, you got to make a move. You got to make a move, right? You can't just sit there and say, listen, yeah, I'm going to apply for this. No, no, no. You got to make a move. Now, making a move doesn't mean you just go online and send your application to them. No, it just means that you first contact them. You talk to them. You have a conversation with them. Okay. As, there is a good phrase that we love that what's the I'm blanking here. Yeah, the Los Angeles Times, the LA Times, they have in their business section, they have a great business columnist that has a phrase like, you want to actually cultivate the relationship from the beginning, very beginning. It means what? It means that you want to talk to the lender. You want to ask questions. You want to treat them as a partner. They're not just your lender, they're also your partner, right? So you want to really have a conversation about their requirements, the things they need. Okay, what is the application process like? What is the underwriting process like? And you can have the conversation over the phone or via email. Okay, those online lenders or alternative lenders, they don't have branches, they don't have brick and mortar branches you can go to and sit with someone. No. Okay, so big decision time, boss. Big decision time. So have you thought about your lender yet? Have you found your lender? Okay, if yes, are you going to apply over the phone? Are you going to apply via regular mail or via email? Are you going to apply online? Have you decided? Have you thought about things yet? And another thing I want to ask you, have you actually gathered all your paperwork, especially the financial projections? This is really important. Remember that if you are a startup, you haven't gotten time to generate actual revenue yet. So the lender is going to base their underwriting decision on estimated data. Okay, and it's important to have it accurate. Let me give you a few pro tips here. So let's say you have actually done a lot of research. You have gone to a lot of lenders. You have done all the research, and they denied you for your startup business loan with bad credit and no collateral. And the first thing I want to say here is that please do not panic. It can be demoralizing to actually do all the paperwork. You actually have stayed up all night. You have actually you have foregone spending time with your family, and then you realize, hey, listen, all of these things counted for nuts. You didn't get the results you wanted, so you can be a little demoralized, a little discouraged. One thing I want to say here is that the first thing is not to panic, because see, behind a denial, the denial letter is actually an approval letter, just waiting. The most important thing is to know what the lender is asking you to fix, and just fix it. Because remember, those lenders, they have specific criteria they want to go by, and if you don't meet those criteria, they're not giving you the money. So it is on you to actually find a way to actually get the loan. So, and don't forget that you can always call something called a reconsideration line to ask the lender to reconsider. So if they rejected you in the first place, you always have the opportunity to ask for a reconsideration. Okay, maybe because you fixed whatever issue they found in your application, or so the process is there to kind of help you out. But listen, there are alternatives to startup business loans with bad credit, no collateral. If you don't get the business loan, you can try to have like startup business credit cards, for example, or you can also use, in some cases, if you can try to have like a startup business line of credit, because a lot of lenders think that the startup business line of credit is less risky than a startup business loan. And they're not totally wrong though. You can also think about using personal loans for business. You can think about crowdfunding. You can think about personal savings. You can think about friends and family. So the list goes on. So the big question before we close to this conversation is it really hard to get a startup business loan in general, just in general? With bad credit, with fair credit, with good credit. It's not really that complicated. As long as you are able to answer satisfactorily 3 questions, you are able to go. So, do you have a business plan? Do you have financial projections? And what is your operational goal in terms of scalability? So, if you have a startup, the lender is interested in knowing that you'll be around 5 years from now. Okay, because really, when you think about it, there is a very sad statistic that says 9 startups out of 10 will go actually out of business within the first 2 to 5 years. And this is a really huge number, right? It's a very scary number too, which means that 9 startups out of 10, in other words, this maybe includes you, basically will not be around. So the lender is not really, the lender is scared. So that's why the lender wants to make sure that you are able to explain, like, here are my financials, like, here are my estimated financials, okay? And here is how I intend to actually churn a profit real quick. Because that's the bottom line. The bottom line is you need to show the lender that, hey, listen, you have a system in place, you have a strategy in place whereby you can generate revenue real quick. And maybe you are already making money. You are already generating revenue because you could be a startup. But again, going back to what I said, a startup means that you have been in business for less than 12 months. So you may have been in business for 6 months or 7 months and already gotten your first clients. So it's really important to understand that it's not really hard to get a business plan, to get a business loan, as long as you have those elements. A business plan is really important. As a business plan is going to help you communicate your vision to a lender. A business plan will help you communicate your vision to an investor. Your business plan, even better, is actually a navigational tool for yourself to actually move on the right ladder so that you don't make certain mistakes anymore. Okay, so this is really important. And one thing I also want to say here is I want to talk to you about the importance of making sure that you find the right time. Like, timing is really important when it comes to startup business loans. Sometimes you got to ask yourself, am I better off applying for the startup business loan now, or should I apply 3 months from now, or should I apply 6 months from now, or should I apply 12 months from now? So timing is really important. Okay. And yeah, so this is really important. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. In today's conversation, I was talking to you about how to get a startup business loan with bad credit and no collateral. So we spoke about evaluating what kind of loan you need, checking your business and personal credit scores, gathering and preparing required documents, researching and comparing lenders, and submitting your application. So I give you also a few pro tips and a bonus at the end of the video. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll speak to you another time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.